This is the Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sick'em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, join the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network, a production of Baylor Athletics, and a video podcast this week. Hope you're tapping into that. We appreciate that. We are coming to you from the studios of Rogue Media Network. We appreciate our partnership with Rogue Media Network. Hey, this week it is a video podcast because we want to share with you, maybe you've seen it from other outlets, but we want to blanket this coverage out on a terrific video produced by Baylor Athletics, letting Tchamwa Tchatchoua tell the story in his own words of what he's been through, what he is going through, and what he'll continue to go through really for several months ahead. In short order, Jonathan, a current Baylor basketball player, and he is from the Cameroon originally. He played at the NBA Global Academy in Australia, then played at UNLV for a year before really finding his home here at Baylor University. And Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua has become, in very short order, a fan favorite, a player's favorite, a coach's favorite, and I'm going to tell you, a broadcaster's favorite also. Jonathan is just so sincere and hardworking in everything he does. Hearing the nickname of Everyday John, and I hesitate to give credit to who came up with that first because I don't want to give it to the wrong person, but it fits him perfectly. Everyday John, meaning he just comes to work every day, works so hard, and has turned himself into a player that last year was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and first team All Big 12 Conference defensive team last year. And think about that, earning that honor in a season in which he was injured in mid-February. If you remember the play, it was Baylor and Texas in the Farrell Center, key Big 12 game. Jonathan just running back up the floor to get back into a defensive position, and he stepped wrong. And he basically did everything bad you can do to your left knee on that injury. And it was really horrific to watch in person. And then when you see the replay from ESPN, it was even more horrific. And Jonathan just set about, recovering, rehabbing from that almost from the moment he was helped off the court. He had surgery the very next day, I think, and you'll hear in this video, it was paramount to get the surgery done as quick as possible. And then from that point on, Jonathan, if you know him and you know his resolve, he was really determined to get back from the injury and play basketball again here at Baylor. So in his own words, I want you to hear Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua's story and really his testimony on how how Baylor has changed him and how he now continues to work moving forward. You'll hear, if you're listening to the audio of this podcast, you'll hear Jonathan. You also hear from Fran Fraschilla of ESPN, who was calling the game that day. You'll hear from Dave Snyder, our men's basketball trainer. Dave was right there, one of the first people to go out and talk to Jonathan, injured on the court. You'll hear from Chris Beard also, the University of Texas men's basketball coach. Chris was maybe the first one out there, really, to run out to midcourt and check on Jonathan, even though it was the opposing team. And then, of course, you'll hear from Scott Drew as well. So all of that coming up. Here it is, in his own words, Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua.
This is Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua, and I think I'm finally ready to tell my story.
It was a Saturday afternoon in Waco and a great matchup between two ranked teams, Texas and Baylor, longtime rivals and two great coaches, obviously great teams. I've done many, many big games at Baylor in the Big 12, and this was a special Saturday afternoon. There was a buzz in the air without question.
I was just coming back on one of my best games since I started playing basketball. We had a pretty good win against K-State. Big rivalry game coming up, Farrell Center Food. I had my uncle coming in town to watch me play for the first time.
From inside the Farrell Center, the Paul J. Meyer Arena, welcome in to Baylor Big 12 basketball. Today, the Bears and the Longhorns. Crowd is on its feet. We're underway, the 258th meeting all-time between Baylor and Texas.
We get started. We get the starters in. We're excited. We on the bench cheering for each other. I get on the floor. I remember we had a fast break. James Akinjo threw me a lob. Barely made it. I barely made it.
Akinjo in transition, lobs it. Oh, it's kept home by Tchamwa Tchatchoua.
Oh, it's Tchamwa Tchatchoua. Fans are blowing the roof off the Farrell Center.
And then the next time I went back in, crashed the glass. I was jogging back. I remember seeing a foot in front of me, so I just tried to avoid it to get back in position as soon as I can. And it happened.
Tchatchoua goes down on the floor. He's holding his left knee.
Tchamwa Tchatchoua heading up the floor. Planted his left leg, and it just gave way.
The gym just got quiet. I don't know if it was just me being in pain or just everybody got quiet. Everything was just like silent. I remember Coach Beard touching me and telling me that you'll be all right, big guy.
When the Farrell Center goes from 108 decibels to all of a sudden you can hear a pin drop, you just know the concern and love everybody had for John at that time, and real class act by the Texas team and Coach Beard to make sure he was okay, wish him well, and the respect they showed him really meant a lot.
Unfortunately for me, I had an incredible view of John's injury because it happened right at midcourt in front of our broadcast table, probably 30 feet away. And I've seen injuries before in basketball as a coach and a broadcaster. Obviously, we knew it was serious. We knew it was a knee injury. That was clear. And it definitely was, there was a palpable feeling in the arena that it was a serious injury.
Everything was just like numb at that moment until I kind of like snapped back into my body and started paying attention to my knee. The pain was just unbearable. My leg was unstable. I felt like I had a toothpick on my leg. I felt like I only had one ligament holding on my leg at that moment. When I just had the thought about throwing my ACL, I just started screaming. Not because of the pain, but just because of how much work I just been putting in, how much preparation, how I never cheated, either on my body or either on my skills.
Rushing out to the court to evaluate him, try to calm him down. We knew the most important thing was to, get him stabilized, to get up and get to the athletic training room to do a more thorough evaluation to just see the extent of the damage caused by that hyperextension.
I got carried into the training room, couldn't lift my left leg. I could barely just push it. I barely had a plantar flexion on my left leg. I remember our leg trainer trying to touch my left leg to make sure that I had some sensation.
When we brought him to the training room, evaluating him, automatically you could tell that with the slightest bit of a special test is what we do, you can tell there was ligament involvement, and typically when you're presented with that, you stop searching for certain ligament damage in a way because you know that there is some, you know that he's in significant pain, and what you don't want to do is continue to put him under more pain that you don't need to.
We just the first day in the training room until halftime. I was kind of smiling about it when my girlfriend came in, my uncle came in. But when my teammates were coming in to just checking on me, that's why I just couldn't look at them. I just started crying. I was letting everybody down. I was letting myself down. I was letting that guy always come to the gym every morning, put so much work. I was letting him down.
We had got him to a local emergency room to where they could do some testing to make sure that there weren't any vascular structures compromised, which would take with it the most precedence. Vascular wins above all as far as of the order of importance.
I'm still thanking God to this day that the result of the scanner came back negative and all the blood vessels were fine. I was kind of cheered up about that, and now the next step was to do an MRI and to see and to confirm my expectation of torn ACL.
After the game, being around some of the coaches, I could tell that this was not your normal knee injury. So we all felt it.
It really wasn't until David Kay showed me the replay, and obviously we're not showing the replay in the Farrell Center, but when he showed me the replay, immediately the same thought I had when Joe Theismann's injury on TV back in the NFL days came to mind. It's one of those injuries when you see it, you're just, it's like smelling salts. It just makes you cringe, and right away you know the severity of it, and you don't want to watch it again.
As a coach, I think all parents can relate to whenever you see your child or one of your players get hurt like that and they work so hard. Don't know the severity of it, but obviously it didn't look good, so our hearts go out and prayers go out to them and hope for the best.
John is probably one of the most respected players to play in the Big 12 in all my years covering the league. Every coach understands what he means to Baylor. Every coach would love to have a guy like him because of his energy and enthusiasm, attitude, and his ability. So I think we all felt it, even his opponents.
Let me start by saying this, if you don't mind. Just want to wish Jonathan the best. Hate that part about sports, best players just really hurts me. I wish it had happened to me today and not him. To me, probably more important than anything I can say about today's game is I just hope that he's okay. He's one of the best players in college basketball, and I've never liked that part about sports. I wish that could happen to me instead of him today. So he'll be in our team prayer and our thoughts and stuff, and I just hope that he's okay.
I went to get an MRI the next day. That was a Sunday morning. Then I was just waiting for my results. I had the coaching staff coming up to my house, checking on me. I had my teammates coming up checking on me. And I remember around 4 p.m. in the afternoon, I got a call from Coach Drew and my head athletic trainer telling me that I torn at least 5 to 6 different tissues. And I literally asked him, how bad is it? And he literally told me it's really bad, like it's really awful.
When student athletes tear certain ligaments, those come with it, certain return times. Anytime you start adding ligaments to major structures, it just increases time and doubt, that somebody can return and come back to the way that they were before. And it's a long, hard road. So it was an emotional call. It was an emotional time for all of us.
Everyone was heartbroken. John is a special young man, as all our players, but how much he pours into the game, how much he loves Baylor University, loves this team, your heart goes out to him.
The next day, on that Monday at 9 a.m., I got a call from my athletic trainer telling me that I might need to have surgery ASAP because there's a really strong possibility I got nerve damage. So from there, I was introduced to Dan Cooper. I heard a great deal about him. He's really respected in his business. And I said, okay, I'm gonna have surgery there in Dallas. So at that exact time, I got in the car with my girlfriend and we went to Dallas. I met with a surgeon. He really comforted me. He really gave me a really boost in terms of him telling me that this happened before he had this surgery. This is not the first time for me to have to deal with this. And best case scenario, I can come back in 8 months, and worst case, or on average, I can come back in 18 months. The next day, I believe it was on Tuesday, I was expecting the surgery to only last 2 hours, but it ended up being 4.5 hours. I woke up, I had my girlfriend and my uncle around me. They told me the surgery went fine, but you still need to meet with the surgeon next morning because he needs to talk to you. I know my girlfriend really well, so I can tell when she's hiding stuff from me. And the truth is that she didn't want to tell me that the surgeon told them that had damaged my nerve.
When we got the call from the surgeon describing the extent of the nerve damage, you know, I tell you, it was very, very tough.
It was about 12 to 15 centimeters apart. When I found it out, and that next morning, I literally was shattered. My world just collapsed. I'm pretty sure I cried for like 3 hours straight. Like, I couldn't contain anything. Right after my first surgery, I believe that was probably the darkest time of my life.
That was a very hard period, you know, for John and for us to try to be there for John and supportive and optimistic. We had a lot of conversations about that, about setting goals. You know, what are our goals going to be? Being realistic with goals, setting small goals, shifting our goals as we had to, just to where there was always something that he could accomplish.
The surgeon told me that he fixed my knee is fine. Now, the next step is to have a surgery for your nerve. I had to just rehab my knee for 3 months before moving up to my next surgery, which was in July 1st. That's when I met Dr. Nunley in North Carolina. Great person. Meeting with him gave me hope. Then the day of the surgery, things went pretty well. He told me that my nerve is gonna take some time to heal. There's no like really set rehab for it. It's just like more God timing. So I just gotta keep on praying, just waiting on my nerve to just snap back.
I don't know that I've ever come into contact with anyone that works harder than he does. It just amazes me to watch him do some of the things that he does. Even just with his initial approach to the injury and how he was going to just tackle each little daily task. We continue to give him challenges to work to overcome. You know, it's not without difficulty, but he can do it, and it's just unreal.
Well, you knew nobody would rehab harder. The last thing I expected was to see him in the gym that soon on a stool, getting shots up. But John, you just can't keep him out of the gym. He loves basketball. He loves to work on his craft. And guys just gave him a great desire and ability to play this game. And again, if anyone can come back from an injury like this, Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua is that guy.
It's crazy because even till this day, I still go back to like that same spot on the court where I got hurt and just sit down there and just think like, what if I didn't step this way? What if I didn't step that far? So it's just crazy to see like how a couple millimeters or centimeters just can change your life. I know watching this video, you're gonna probably ask yourself, or ask me, so what is my timeline? My leg is healing faster than everybody told it will, and I just thank God every day for that. But the truth is that this year, my goal is just to be as healthy as I can. And the truth is that I'm not gonna hang it up. I'll be back as soon as I can. I don't have a date. I don't have a game. But I know for a fact that I won't give up. So as long as God doesn't give up on me, I'll be back on that floor.
And there it is. That is the story in his own words of Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua, Baylor men's basketball player. And he just brings a smile to your face when you see him and when you hear him, and especially when you go over to the Farrell Center and you see him working so hard to come back from this injury. And again, if anybody can come back from this injury, it's Jonathan, because of his resolve and how hard he is willing to work. Everyday John, again, a real fan favorite, and we're pulling for him, and we're praying for him also, and we would covet your prayers as Jonathan continues to work and come back from this injury. And that is this week's Sikkim Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. Again, coming to you today from the studios of Rogue Media Network. We appreciate you being with us. It's a production of Baylor Athletics, and we'll be back with you next week with another edition of the Sikkim Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sikkim Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sikkim Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics.